Hello and welcome to the Gallivanting Gingers. Today we're going to be heading back over to Ketner's Mill. We aren't going the interstate today though, instead we're going to take the back roads. It's going to be about 28 miles. According to the map it's going to be 53 minutes, but I think it's going to take longer than that. The road that connects Hamilton County and Marion counties is known as Suck Creek Road, and it is a very curvy mountainous road. And yes, I did say Suck Creek. Before they put the dam on the Tennessee River, there were parts of the river where the current sped up. This created whirlpools, and if you weren't careful, you might end up smashing your boat up against boulders. The vortex of this area where the creek met the river from Walden's Ridge became known as the Suck, because the vortex would suck you in, and the creek became known as Suck Creek. I read an article by Bill Carey in the Tennessee Magazine that talked about this stretch of highway. And it said that this stretch of road was one of the most controversial stretches of highway to be paved in Tennessee. It went on to talk about way back in 1914, there were two routes that were planned that became known as the Dixie Highway. One route went through Chicago, Indianapolis, Louisville, Nashville on its way to Chattanooga. And the other went through Toledo, Cincinnati, Lexington, and Chattanooga. And Chattanooga was one of the few cities in America that contained both branches of the Dixie Highway. And in places where the terrain was flat, the Dixie Highway was paved without any trouble. But because of the mountainous terrain, the route northwest of Chattanooga created major delays and ended up costing more than they had anticipated. And way back in 1914 and 1915, there wasn't an official highway department in Tennessee. And when the Marion County and Hamilton County executives announced that the road along Suck Creek connecting Chattanooga to Whitwell was going to become part of the Dixie Highway, people got excited. In 1915, the Chattanooga Times said, quote, "Tourists and local travelers will find Suck Creek Route one of the most wonderful, entrancing thoroughfares in this part of the South." However, unlike most highways that followed natural paths that were already there were parts of Suck Creek Road that had never existed, not even a path to follow. The 4 miles from the Tennessee River up to the top of Walden's Ridge went along the deep Suck Creek Gorge, and this required the blasting and removal of boulders the size of houses. Marion and Hamilton County officials brought in convicts from Brushy Mountain State Prison to blast the road the old-fashioned way. And speaking of Brushy Mountain, we also have a video on Brushy Mountain State Prison. It's now open for tours, and they have a restaurant and a distillery there. I guess you're not going to go to many prisons with a distillery. I will link that video above and below in the video description if you want to check it out. It was a very good tour. Loved going through that old prison. Some 175 inmates worked on this road for 6 months. Then they were sent back to the prison. However, the road itself was not complete, and it was not going to be complete and ready for automobiles for many, many years. And a lot of the problems had to do with the fact that the expensive part of the road along Suck Creek Gorge was in Marion County. In Hamilton County, people were a little more wealthier and they had more population. There was a larger tax base, and they also wanted the road more than the people in Marion County. Marion County, which was rural and it was mostly poor people, they weren't as interested in the road being completed as Hamilton County was. And here's a quote from the Sequatchie Valley News op-ed. It said, "It's a disgraceful waste of public money, should have never been started and ought to now be stopped." So that's how they felt about it. The Tennessee General Assembly, they temporarily transferred about 2 miles of Marion County to Hamilton County so its taxpayers could pay to create a road in another county. How crazy is that? That's how bad they were trying to get this road finished. Along came World War I, the flu epidemic that followed it, and after 5 years, the road still wasn't finished. But somehow, someway, they got the road completed. I'm not sure how, but it was officially opened in May of 1921. And at that time, the scenery along it was declared not surpassed east of the Rocky Mountains. Throughout the early 1920s, you'll find mention of Tennessee's famous and beautiful Suck Creek Road in newspapers all over the South and Midwest. Prentice Cooper State Forest is also along this route. And as we got into Powell's Crossroad, we came across some Christmas decorations that were photo-worthy, so I'll have to get a photo on the way back. Okay, now we're on Ketner's Mill Lane, and we'll get to the mill a lot quicker today than we did the last time we came out here because there is no traffic. And there's the mill. And it looks like we're the only ones here today. And see, we can pull right up to the mill. We don't have to park clear out in a field that's turned into a parking lot and walk forever. So since there's no one out here, I'll be able to show you all around since there's no crowds. So Ketner's Mill is in the beautiful Sequatchie Valley in Marion County, Tennessee. The address is 658 Ketner's Mill Lane, Whitwell, Tennessee. Ketner's Mill is on private property. It's owned by the descendants of Alexander Ketner, but they welcome the community to enjoy the mill grounds during daylight hours throughout the year free of charge. They do ask that everyone treat the area with respect, no alcohol or fires, don't leave any trash. And if you swim in the Sequatchie River, you need to be aware that it is a dangerous river and it's to be done at your own risk. There have been several drownings in this area over the years, usually around the dam. So if you swim, stay away from that dam. That dam isn't meant for swimming. It was built for the mill. You need to put him in the car. This says Chattanooga on it. This says Chattanooga. Chattanooga Plow Company. It's improved. Okay, so a little history about the mill. Orphan David Ketner and his two siblings arrived to the Sequatchie Valley in 1824. And back then, they operated a grits mill near the base of Suck Creek Mountain. Now, we came across Suck Creek Mountain when we came over here. And there was also a blacksmith shop on that side. But also during this time period, the early settlers built the dam and mill here on this side. And it wasn't until 1868 that David Ketner's son Alexander bought this mill. The family began construction of the brick structure and it was completed in 1882. And they also had a water power sawmill that was on this site during that time. And during the early 1880s, the Ketners moved a wool carding mill to this site where it was restored to working order. It is one of only 3 of its kind still running in the United States today. In 1955 was the last year the sawmill operated here. And in 1974, a family reunion brought the family members to the mill, where they all agreed to embark on a 3-year restoration project. In 1977, the first Ketner's Mill Country Fair took place, and they celebrated the completion of the restoration project. And the mill was added to the National Register of Historic Places. So thanks to that family getting together in 1974 and coming up with the idea of restoring this mill, we're able to visit it and look at the beauty of this old mill now. Until his death in 1992, Clyde Ketner, he was the grandson of the original owner, David Ketner, he continued the daily production of quality old-fashioned cornmeal right here. The family still continues this tradition by bringing the mill into production each year for the annual Country Arts and Crafts Fair, and all proceeds from the fair are used to preserve this historic site. I bought some fresh ground cornmeal here back in October when they had the mill running at the fair. And I'm going to be posting a cornbread video on my cooking channel, Cooking with Bobby Joe, soon. Okay, we've done all the looking we can do around here, so it's time to head back towards Chattanooga. We're going to slow down so you can see the Christmas decorations. Cousin Eddie on Christmas vacation. The things you find driving around the back roads of Tennessee. Okay, we're going to speed up and get on home. y'all enjoyed it. Don't forget to check back next week as we continue recording history, one road trip at a time.